Let me ask you something. Why do most people stay stuck while a few become unstoppable? It's not talent, it's not luck, and it's definitely not overnight success. The real problem. People don't control their daily habits, and eventually their habits control them. Today, we're fixing that. You don't wake up one day and become great. You become great by what you do every single day. Greatness isn't an event, it's a routine. And if you can master these 7 daily habits, you won't just improve your life. You'll become unstoppable. Let me tell you something. People love to talk about motivation. They chase it like it's some kind of magic. They wait for it. They depend on it. They say, I'll start when I feel ready. But listen carefully. If you only move when you feel motivated, you're already losing. Because motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the wind. One day you feel powerful, unstoppable, ready to conquer the world, and the next day you don't even feel like getting out of bed. That's the reality most people live in. Controlled by emotion, controlled by comfort, controlled by how they feel in the moment. And that's exactly why most people never become great. See, the difference between average and unstoppable isn't talent. It's not luck. It's not even opportunity. The real difference is discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. That's it. Simple. But not easy. Because discipline demands something from you. It demands that you show up on your worst days, not just your best ones. It demands that you take action when your mind is full of doubt, when your body feels tired, when distractions are pulling you in every direction. And most people, they fold under that pressure. They negotiate with themselves. I'll do it later. I deserve a break. But those small compromises, they add up. They build habits. And those habits, they shape your life. You see, every time you choose comfort over discipline, you're reinforcing a pattern. You're teaching yourself that it's okay to quit when things get hard. You're building a mindset that runs away from pressure instead of growing through it. But when you choose discipline, something different happens. You build strength, not just physical strength, but mental toughness. The kind of toughness that doesn't break when things go wrong. The kind of toughness that keeps moving forward, no matter what the circumstances look like. Because discipline doesn't care about your mood. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care if you're tired, distracted, or afraid. It only cares about one thing. Did you show up? And when you start living like that, when you stop asking yourself how you feel and start asking yourself what needs to be done, you shift your entire identity. You stop being someone who tries and you become someone who executes. That's where power comes from. Think about it. Anyone can work hard when they feel inspired. Anyone can push themselves when everything is going right. But what about the days when nothing feels right? Those are the days that define you. Those are the days where discipline separates you from everyone else. Because while others are waiting for motivation, you're already moving. While others are making excuses, you're making progress. While others are stuck in their feelings, you're building momentum. And momentum, that's where things start to change. Because once you start showing up consistently, whether you feel like it or not, you create a rhythm, a pattern, a standard for yourself that doesn't depend on emotions. And over time, that consistency turns into something powerful. It turns into results. Results that most people never see, not because they're incapable, but because they never stayed disciplined long enough to reach them. That's the truth. Success isn't about doing something big once. It's about doing the small things over and over again without stopping. That's what discipline gives you. It gives you control. Control over your actions. Control over your habits. Control over your life. Because when you're disciplined, you don't react to life, you respond to it. You don't let circumstances decide your path, you decide it. And once you take that control, something shifts inside you. You start realizing that you're capable of more than you thought. You start seeing progress where there used to be doubt. You start building confidence, not from words, but from action. And that confidence, it doesn't come from motivation. It comes from proof. Proof that you can show up. Proof that you can push through. Proof that you can keep going even when it's hard. That's what makes you dangerous in the best way possible. Because now you're not relying on temporary feelings anymore. You're operating from something deeper, something stronger, something consistent. And that consistency starts to spill into everything you do. The way you think changes. The way you act changes. The way you approach challenges changes. You stop looking for shortcuts and you start respecting the process. And when you respect the process, you naturally begin to understand something that most people overlook, that real power isn't built in big, dramatic moments. It's built quietly through small actions repeated every single day. And that's where the next level begins to reveal itself, not in one big breakthrough, but in the steady rhythm of showing up again and again, until those small actions start stacking on top of each other, creating something bigger than you ever imagined, something that doesn't just rely on discipline alone, but grows stronger through the force of consistency. Now listen, this is where most people get it wrong. They think success comes from big moves, big moments, big breakthroughs, but that's not how it works. Power, real power, is built quietly. It's built in the things you do every single day, whether anyone is watching or not. It's built in repetition. It's built in showing up again and again and again, long after the excitement fades. Because here's the truth: anyone can start strong. Anyone can wake up early for a few days. Anyone can go hard for a week. Anyone can feel inspired for a moment and take action. But very few people can stay consistent, and that's why very few people win. Consistency is what separates interest from commitment. It's the difference between someone who wants success and someone who is willing to earn it. Because when you're consistent, you're not just taking action, you're building something. You're stacking effort on top of effort, day after day, moment after moment. And at first, it doesn't look like much. You put in the work and nothing seems to change. You show up and the results don't come fast enough. You push forward, but it feels like you're stuck in the same place. That's where most people quit. They get frustrated. They lose patience. They start doubting the process. But what they don't understand is that consistency works in silence. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It doesn't give you immediate rewards. It builds beneath the surface, like a foundation. And every time you show up, you're strengthening that foundation. You're reinforcing it. You're making it harder to break, harder to shake, harder to stop, because consistency creates momentum. And momentum, that's when everything changes. See, in the beginning, it takes effort to push forward. It feels heavy. It feels slow. It feels like you're forcing progress. But if you stay consistent long enough, that effort starts working for you. Things begin to move easier. Habits become automatic. Discipline becomes natural. You don't have to think about showing up anymore, you just do it. And that's when you start becoming unstoppable. Not because you're doing something extraordinary, but because you're doing the ordinary things extraordinarily well every single day. That's the secret most people miss. They're chasing perfection. They're chasing fast results. They're chasing shortcuts. But success doesn't respond to shortcuts. It responds to consistency. It rewards the person who keeps going even when it's boring, even when it's repetitive, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Because something is happening. You're growing, even if you can't see it yet. Every day you show up, you're sharpening your skills. You're strengthening your mindset. You're building endurance. And most importantly, you're building trust with yourself. Think about that. Every time you follow through on what you said you would do, you're proving something to yourself. You're reinforcing the belief that you can be relied on not by others, but by you. And that kind of self-trust, that's powerful. Because once you trust yourself, hesitation disappears. Doubt starts to fade. You stop second-guessing your actions, and you start moving with certainty. And when you combine that certainty with consistent action, you create a force that's hard to stop. Because now you're not relying on bursts of energy or moments of inspiration. You're operating on a system, a routine, a standard that you refuse to break. And over time, that standard becomes your identity. You're no longer someone who tries when it's convenient. You're someone who shows up no matter what. That's where transformation happens, not in one day, not in one moment, but in the accumulation of days stacked on top of each other, creating something stronger, something more resilient, something built to last. Because consistency compounds. Just like interest in a bank account, your efforts grow over time. The small things you do today might seem insignificant, but multiplied over weeks, months, years, they become something massive. That's how people separate themselves. Not by doing more in one day, but by doing something every day. And when you reach that point, when consistency is no longer something you struggle with, but something you live by, you begin to realize that the real battle was never external. It was internal. It was about mastering yourself, your thoughts, your focus, your environment, because staying consistent in a world full of distractions requires more than just action. It requires control over what you allow into your mind and what you choose to ignore. Let me tell you something, before you ever win in the world, you have to win in your mind. That's where it starts. That's where it ends. Everything you become, everything you achieve, everything you believe you're capable of, it all begins with the way you think. Because your mindset is the lens through which you see everything. It shapes how you respond to challenges. It shapes how you handle failure. It shapes how far you're willing to go when things get uncomfortable. And most people, they don't even realize they're trapped by their own thinking. They say things like, I can't do this. This is too hard. I'm not ready. And without knowing it, they're building limits around their own lives. Because what you tell yourself consistently becomes your reality. If you believe something is impossible, you won't even try. If you believe you're not good enough, you won't push yourself. If you believe failure defines you, you'll stop at the first sign of struggle. That's how powerful the mind is. It doesn't just reflect your reality, it creates it. And if your mindset is weak, negative, or full of doubt, it doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter how many opportunities you get. You'll find a way to hold yourself back. That's why protecting your mindset is not optional. It's necessary. Because every single day, you're being influenced by what you watch, by what you listen to, by the people you surround yourself with. And if you're not careful, you'll start absorbing negativity without even realizing it. Doubt becomes normal. Fear becomes comfortable. Excuses start to sound reasonable. And slowly your mindset starts working against you instead of for you. But here's the truth. You have control over what you allow into your mind. You can choose what you focus on. You can choose what you believe. You can choose how you interpret the situations in your life. That's where your power is. Because unstoppable people don't have perfect lives. They don't avoid challenges. They don't escape failure. They just think differently. When something goes wrong, they don't ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, what can I learn from this? When things get difficult, they don't say, this is too much. They say, this is making me stronger. That shift in thinking changes everything. Because now, instead of being controlled by circumstances, now listen closely, you can have discipline. You can build consistency. You can even train your mindset to stay strong under pressure. But when life really tests you, and it will, none of that holds if you don't know why you're doing it. Because purpose is what keeps you standing when everything inside you is telling you to quit. See, at the beginning, everything feels exciting. You're motivated. You're consistent. You're focused. You're doing all the right things. But then something happens. The results slow down. The obstacles show up. The pressure increases. And suddenly it's not exciting anymore. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. It's frustrating. That's where most people stop. Not because they're weak, but because they never had a strong enough reason to keep going in the first place. They were moving on interest, not purpose. And interest fades. Purpose doesn't. Purpose is deeper. It's personal. It's something that connects to who you are and who you want to become. It's the reason you wake up early when no one is watching. It's the reason you keep pushing when there's no immediate reward. It's the thing that reminds you this matters. Because without purpose, everything feels optional. Skipping a day feels harmless. Quitting feels justified. Giving up feels easy. But when you have purpose, quitting is no longer just quitting. It becomes a betrayal of your potential, a betrayal of your goals, a betrayal of the person you said you were going to become. And that's a different kind of pressure. That's the kind of pressure that forces you to rise. Because now, it's not just about achieving something on the outside, it's about becoming someone on the inside. That's what purpose does. It transforms your actions into meaning. Every early morning has meaning. Every late night has meaning. Every sacrifice, every struggle, every setback, it all connects to something bigger than the moment you're in. And when you can see that bigger picture, you stop reacting emotionally to temporary discomfort. You start enduring it. Because you understand that pain is part of the process. You understand that growth requires struggle. You understand that nothing worth having comes easy. That awareness changes how you move. You stop asking, is this hard? And you start asking, is this worth it? And if your purpose is strong enough, the answer will always be yes. That's what keeps you going when discipline feels heavy. That's what keeps you consistent when progress feels slow. That's what protects your mindset when doubt tries to creep in. Purpose ties everything together. It gives direction to your discipline. It gives meaning to your consistency. It gives strength to your mindset. Without it, all those things can break under pressure. With it, they become unshakable. Because now you're not just working, you're working towards something that matters. Something that goes beyond comfort. Something that goes beyond temporary feelings. Something that demands the best version of you. And when you live with that kind of purpose, something inside you changes. You stop looking for easy paths. You stop chasing quick results. You stop comparing yourself to others because you're locked in on your mission. And that mission becomes your standard. It defines how you act. It defines how you think. It defines how you respond when things don't go your way. Because when your purpose is clear, your decisions become easier. You don't waste time debating whether to show up. You already know you have to. You don't question whether it's worth the effort. You've already decided that it is. And that level of clarity, that level of commitment creates a kind of persistence that most people can't match. Because now you're not driven by motivation. You're not dependent on results. You're anchored in something deeper, something that doesn't move when life gets hard. And that's what makes you unstoppable. Not just the habits, not just the discipline, not just the consistency, but the reason behind it all. The fire that keeps burning even when everything else feels like it's fading, and when that fire is strong enough, it doesn't just keep you going, it starts pushing you into action at a higher level, forcing you to stop overthinking, stop waiting, and start doing what truly matters every single day. So now you see it, this isn't about luck. This isn't about talent. And it's definitely not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about how you live every single day. It's about choosing discipline when motivation fades. It's about showing up consistently when progress feels invisible. It's about protecting your mindset when negativity tries to take over. And it's about holding on to your purpose when everything gets hard. That's the difference. That's what separates people who talk about change from the ones who actually become it. Because being unstoppable isn't something you're born with. It's something you build day by day, choice by choice, habit by habit. And understand this, there will be days when you feel tired. There will be days when you doubt yourself. There will be days when quitting feels easier than continuing. But those are the moments that matter the most. Because every time you push through, you become stronger. Every time you refuse to quit, you move closer to the life you want. This journey isn't easy, but it's worth it. And the truth is, the version of you that you're chasing, the life you keep thinking about, it's not out of reach. It's waiting on your discipline. It's waiting on your consistency. It's waiting on your mindset. It's waiting on your purpose. So don't wait for the right time. Start now. Take control of your habits. Take control of your actions. Take control of your life. Because once you do that, there's nothing and no one that can stop you